There's football, and then there's SEC football. What's going on, everybody? This is SEC Weekly. I am your host, Matt Desrosiers, joined by two of the best in the business, Mr. Alex Dunlap and Cody Carpentier. 5 more teams, boys, has started the spring ball. The Arkansas Razorbacks, the Vanderbilt Commodores, Georgia Bulldogs, Tennessee Volunteers, and them Auburn Tigers. We got a lot to wrap up of this week of practices, but we're going to start things with you, Alex. Okay, let us know what's give us your first bit of takeaway from these next wave of teams.
Well, my first takeaway from this next wave of teams is certainly, I was doing some, some watching and some trying to cover what's going on with Arkansas and the Razorbacks, and a little bit different having to kind of, find what's going on with those guys just because of the media presence around them. One thing that you will notice, though, with them, as we'll get to, is that, man, the access that they do give the reporters who are out there is really good, long amounts of access during team periods. There's a lot of video available. We'll talk about some of my kind of takeaways from that stuff, but just in a broad sense, man. So who all starting right now? Did you say it was? It was. So I know Auburn's starting right now, and I know that Arkansas is starting right now. And I believe Florida started last week. But one of the things, just like listening to Ryan Silverfield, the new head coach for Arkansas, who came over from Memphis, it's like all these new SEC coaches, man. Silverfield, Summerall, Golish, Will Stein. I'm probably forgetting some. Or is that all that are the new ones? Those are the ones, though, that I've just kind of listened to this week, listened to either their pre-practice availabilities or their availability sort of into the practice week for spring practice. And I just listened to all these guys. And I'm like, man, I think he can win there. It's like, I listen to Golish and I'm like, man, I think that guy can win. I listen to Summerall. I'm like, dude, he can win. And we talked last week about the wide receivers that they have. Silverfield feels like he has something going on there at Arkansas. I know that they don't have the roster. Look, guys, we're talking about a team with a 4.5 win total where, the reporters around there are just saying if this team can get to bowl eligibility, we're going to be, I think the fan base will be super happy. But I look at it and, this is a guy who's coming in right at the point in time where they're able to really harness the power of Tyson Foods and that big, just that giant conglomerate there that they have business-wise, where they made the deal across the 2026, 2027 season to have the patches on the jerseys. And now that goes across all varsity sports, but 90% of that money that comes from that is going to be funneled into NIL stuff. And I get to thinking, I'm like, man, if this guy can bottle something up and if he can be anywhere near as successful at Arkansas as he was at Memphis, then this could be a team where it's like, you say it's Arkansas, it's hard to recruit there. But such a difference can be made if there is some kind of big money, big corporate structure there that, you start racking up wins, teams start getting excited, or, stakeholders around the program start getting excited about the team. And not to, like, I would never invoke the Indiana thing when talking about Arkansas, but it feels like Indiana sort of found some lightning in a bottle with getting a new coach in there who showed some nice things. All of a sudden you get this giant infusion from the Mark Cubans of the world. And, one thing happens. And so it's like you can paint yourself a story about all these guys, right? Will Stein coming from the Dan Lanning stuff, Summerall, he just looks like a Florida head coach. Golish, I listened to him on the Josh Pate show when he did the speaker series with him this week. And all these guys have such great ideas. They're have such refreshing voices. And I'm like, I keep saying I think he can win there. And here's the thing, like some of them aren't going to win. You know what I mean?
Can't all win.
Yeah, we'll look back at this and we'll say, what were we thinking to think that Silverfield could come to Arkansas and do anything there? But I've liked what I've heard from him. He's talked about this week how they're gonna during spring ball they're gonna maximize live packages and hitting as much as they can. It's pre-practice. It was actually still TBD if the quarterbacks were going to be live. So that was something that I heard. I'm like, you're gonna have the quarterbacks live during spring football. That seems aggressive to me. From the practice tape that I've seen, doesn't uh, doesn't seem like they're live, but there is a quarterback battle going on right now with KJ Jackson, who was the redshirt sophomore last year that came in, and he actually played some versus Texas whenever Taylon Green went out in that game. I think he played maybe some in the next game. And he's a guy who, it was him and it was their best player, Quincy Rhodes, the defensive end, who at the end of the season, if you'll remember, had the dual kind of announcement ceremony that they were going to be coming back to Arkansas and they weren't going to be transferring out. They were going to be staying there. And that's notable because this is a team that has 57 new scholarship players and 42 transfers.
The most in the SEC.
So 12 projected starters came from the portal.
Yeah. It's interesting, man, because I look at the KJ Jackson, AJ Hill stuff. And so KJ Jackson, of course, has been there. Now he's not been in Silverfield's system. AJ Hill has been, and he was the most highly recruited player in the history of Memphis. He was like a 4-star guy, 3-star some spots, 4-star in some spots. But if you look at AJ Hill's offer list, now you never know these days how many of these offers were committable, but his offer list is just a who's who of it's all the best SEC teams. It's all it's Miami. It's everybody, right? He had an all-star offer list. You look at his high school film, incredible. Cody, where's he? Is he from Warner Robins, Georgia?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Oh, all right. So comes from a high school kind of recruiting hotbed, right? When you look at these guys in practice and see them both in practice, AJ Hill looks bigger.
They're both big kids, man. I mean, they're both north of 225, 6'4". They're both might be some of the biggest quarterback room you'll see.
Eight and the shortest center that you've ever seen. if you watch practice, this guy's like 6 feet tall. The consensus around the people that follow the program closely seems to be that, yes, it's a competition, and Silverfield has said this is going to be a competition that's going to last through the fall. But if you listen to what people around the program are saying, and I'm not sure if this is built-in bias of the guy that they know, the devil they know versus the devil they don't, but it seems to me that they believe the odds-on favorite to win this thing is KJ Jackson. I've not seen anything from the practice footage that has led me to believe that there's one guy that's that far ahead of the other. They also have the Angelo State transfer, Braden Fuller, who's there as well, who Silverfield says is part of this competition, but he doesn't seem to be as much in the eyes of the media around there. On the first practice of the week, KJ Jackson started out with the ones during team drills. During the second practice of the week, AJ Hill was working with the ones there with the second team. The defensive line, or he was working with the ones during team drills. The defensive line, the word that we're getting from sources around there and from some of the reporters around there is that they look good, and that they want to build that defensive line with a lot of bigger bodies. But the problem is, if you listen to some of these commentators about Arkansas, is that all their kind of oldest defensive linemen, the guys that have been around the block, those guys aren't necessarily the big body dudes. It's these younger guys, these new recruits, these guys who are transfers that had only been freshmen at other places that are these 320 plus guys, and they're not sure how ready they'll be this year. But building for the future, they'll be looking at that. Again, we're talking about a team with a 4.5 win total this season in Arkansas. There was an availability with Quincy Rhodes, who is the
best player.
Is he their best player overall?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So defensive end Quincy Rhodes had eight sacks last season. That was 30th nationally. He's saying that what's being coached to them, or what's being taught to them by their new defensive coordinator, who's Ron Roberts. He's been at Florida for the last 2 seasons. He spent time at Baylor with Aranda. So the defense is going to some more kind of tight front formation stuff. That's what I saw a lot in this last practice that I believe was on Thursday. Was a bunch of tight front stuff, four eyes, nose tackle, edge kind of buck, jack type of player, 2 inside guys, 1 star, and then your regular 4 across the back. They're saying that what he wants and what they're looking to bring is just a lot of violence to that. That's what they've been teaching him. He says, I feel like you got to be violent, physical hand combat, body to body combat, consistently clashing amongst each other. A lot of people talk in today's generation. A lot of people can't back it up. I just like violence. And I love hearing that from Quincy Rhodes, right? The best player on the tone setter on the defense. You hear him saying those kinds of things. It gets you pretty fired up. I'll talk more about the defense here in a second, but just a couple things that I noticed as far as the offense. It looks like the starting wide receiver core, based on what we've seen during practices so far, it looks like it's going to be Ishmael Cece, who was hurt last year. He missed the full season because he had a weight room injury on his wrist that he needed surgery, and it kept him out the whole season. He's one of the guys who they really like a lot there. It looked like he was he was working out of the slot. And then this kid, Donovan Faupel, Faupl.
Faupel?
Yeah, Faupel. I don't know. He's a New Mexico State transfer. He was second team All-Conference USA last season on the outside. And on the other outside, Chris Marshall, who Cody might remember. He's from Fort Bend, Marshall. He went to Texas A&M as a freshman, and then he transferred to Ole Miss, but he was only there for 1 spring before he went JUCO. So I don't know what happened at Ole Miss, but now he's back at Arkansas. It looks like he's going to be there. And after JUCO, he went to Boise.
Yeah, he was on Boise State. He's been in 4 stops, including JUCO. This is his 5th stop.
Okay, yeah. But dude, he looks good, man. 6'3", 215, gets up to speed really, really, really fast. Like, he looks like a good player. So it's the other thing I noticed was, gosh, I wish I remember. Is it Sutton Smith, the running back who they brought in from Memphis? I believe that's his name.
That sounds right.
No, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. And like, you just see them getting the ball out to him a whole lot on these kind of, these little flares and Texas routes, whip routes and stuff. It looks like he's going to be their kind of, maybe their 1A as far as the running backs are concerned.
Ahead of Braylon Russell?
That's a thunder and lightning situation. Russell's a big kid too. This is a big offense.
Dude, he was out there. I mean, he was out there right off the grip with the first group.
I know they brought in Sutton Smith and Jasper Parker, but I fully expected Braylon Russell to just kind of be, that's the guy. I know he's bigger. Maybe he is not in great shape. Maybe that's kind of, he's 240 pounds. So
Sutton Smith can catch. I don't know what his receptions were last year. I think he maybe only caught 22 footballs last year. And, but only rushed for like 630 yards, but I believe it was like something like 6.7 yards per carry. So it looks like there's a little something there with him for sure. I think he might be utilized. If people are thinking that he's going to be the 2 or whatever, I think he'll be utilized more than that based on what I've seen from these practices. Again, with the new defensive coordinator, Ron Roberts, Florida last 2 seasons was with Aranda. A lot of tight front they were running at practice these last couple of days. When they were in tight front, the defensive line, the 3 across the front were Quincy Rhodes, David Oakey, who looks like a pretty good player that they have at their nose tackle. They have this kid, Hunter Osborne, who was a transfer from Virginia, I believe. And then they have playing edge. They have this dude, or kind of like the edge, kind of outside linebacker type, the jack, the buck, whatever you want to call him. Starting out practice is this guy, Jamonte Walker, who comes over from Auburn. The linebackers
I guess Waller, isn't it? Isn't it Waller?
Waller.
Sorry, Waller. I just read it wrong. At the linebackers today, they were Jaquavion Smith, he's a junior transfer, I believe, from Howard. And then Wyatt Simmons, who is a redshirt sophomore who has been at Arkansas. He went to Harding Academy. As far as the defensive backs from this practice that we're working with the cornerbacks one was Shelton Lewis, who's had an interesting career arc, and maybe you guys know more about him than I do. But I was reading he played in every game as a freshman at Clemson. He battled some injuries in his sophomore season. Then as a junior last year, he only appeared in 4 games. So maybe this is a guy that kind of fell into maybe some purgatory there with Clemson, but looked like a guy that was ascending at least to start his career there.
I think he left the program at Clemson this year, like in the middle of the season.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure what happened with Shelton Lewis, but after that first year, it feels like things kind of got in arrears with him.
Sounds like he's back in a good spot though. If he's in the starting, if he's in the the ones unit.
For now, I mean, we know things can change from the first 2 practices.
Yeah.
But with the ones today at the other cornerback was this dude, redshirt sophomore Braden Lee. He was at Maryland last year, but didn't really start from what I can tell, was more of a rotational player. The safeties were Miguel Mitchell, who's been with them. He entered the portal, but I guess he's back. Mm-hmm. I guess he's one of these guys that came back. The other one was Carter Stoutmeyer at safety. He started at Colorado last year. Yeah. And then at star, for at least for today, it was redshirt senior Christian Harrison. He's also a new guy, pretty productive. He came from Cincinnati where he was. He was their 5th leading tackler last season, 7 PBUs, 1 pick, 2.5 tackles for loss. So I just look at it. I'm like, man, on this back end, it's kind of a mix of guys who I don't want to say island of misfit toys or anything like that, because that doesn't give them the proper respect. But I feel like they put together something that feels like the resumes kind of work and look like it's just. I think individually you can tell yourself a story about everybody in this secondary panning out. It's a matter of can they pan out together as a unit under new defensive coordinator Ron Roberts. I think the biggest story that anybody's going to be kind of monitoring here, though, is the KJ Jackson versus AJ Hill quarterback stuff.
It's early, right? But I kind of like the over of the 4.5. They're the lowest win total projection in the SEC. The SEC doesn't have a single team projected to have double-digit wins in terms of over/under. So, even Vegas is suspecting a bit of a rock fight. Everyone's going to have kind of some haymakers going which ways. I kind of like the over here because I think they could surprise teams with all these transfers. And like you said, new head coach saying the right things, talking about getting the in-state kids to be more of, that Razorback pride and saying all the right things. That NIL money, as you mentioned earlier, that's something that's going to be looking like they're going to have to make a big splash in Arkansas. So I kind of like the Razorbacks to at least get that 5 win total. So if you're a bettor out there, put some shillings down on the Razorbacks.
People say it's hard to recruit to Arkansas. I mean, I get it, I guess, but have you guys been to Northwestern Arkansas? Like, have you been through there? Like Bentonville?
I drove through it once on I-10.
So that means Cody's going to represent it, as we found out earlier.
I'm not sure it's on I-10. It's not on I think.
No, I was going to say that's actually north of where I was. I went through. No. Sorry, that was Louisiana. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, like it's a beautiful area of the country, man. We used to tour there when I was touring as a musician, and man, I used to love going there. And then, dude, one of the places that I really want to go, like I want to take my family to Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's like in the Ouachita Mountains. It looks beautiful, and there's a big racetrack there. You can gamble. I don't know, man. I think about this stuff. I'm like, how hard really is it that much harder to get somebody to Fayetteville, Arkansas than it is to get them to Starkville, Mississippi, or like
Lubbock, Texas? I mean, look at Oxford, Mississippi. I mean, like you can recruit.
Arkansas is underrated, man. Like it's just as far as a place to live and to recruit people to. I don't think it's like recruiting people to the depths of hell.
No, can't be.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you talk about the win total. Like I will say, they do have some grueling games on the road this year. Like everybody does.
Yes, I was gonna say everyone does.
Alabama,
SEC,
Georgia,
baby.
Ole Miss, Tennessee, all on the road. Like,
well, I don't pencil any of those in as W's. I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's automatic, automatic 4 losses, right? Then you're like, all right, well, you got LSU at home, All right. We got Florida, Vandy at home.
It's going to be tough. Well, what about Vandy? Are they breaking in a new quarterback for sure?
It seems like, I mean, they're going to give him a chance to play. They're going to give Jared Curtis, the 5-star, the blue chipper, the big-time quarterback prospect. He's going to get every chance to play. He's projected to be the starting quarterback. Listen, if you're going off a name contest, Jared Curtis or Blaze Berlowitz, I think we know who's going to win. But as of right now, but of course, they're saying the right things over there. They want to make sure that he marinates. They want to give him time. They want him to develop at his own pace. So they're not hoisting him out there. They're not kind of pushing him out there.
He's the most highly ranked. Jared Curtis is the most highly ranked recruit in the history of the program.
I mean, by far.
Yeah, man, tell me Pavia didn't do anything for that school. Everybody thinks Pavia is such a dirtball. I get it, but man, he did and it's Clark Lee that built it, but man,
right.
Pavia brought them a whole lot of juice, man, a whole lot of things to sell, and a whole lot of new donors in there that can just pony up and say, all right, well, we actually believe in something now as far as this football program, to where you can't win without the quarterback. Let's pony up and go get him. They found a guy that believed in the mission. It's just if you listen to Pavia though, he says the Blaze is the dude. But of course, I think Blaze came in. Did Blaze come in with him?
Yeah, Blaze from the same school and everything.
I always forget if Pavia is from New Mexico or New Mexico State.
Same thing.
Yeah, you want to talk about the recruiting depths of hell? I would imagine Roswell, New Mexico is not going to be the spot. But I mean, the thing about you mentioned Pavia. The funny thing is one thing he does have is a brand. Everyone loved him when the Netflix show came out, and that resonated clearly. Between Curtis and Pavia, you can get a guy like a 5-star Jared Curtis in. But you say here's the thing about the SEC. Talk about win totals about Arkansas, and then after this, we'll wrap up. We'll move on to Cody because he's got a whole lot to talk about the Auburn Tigers. But you talk about the SEC win total. There's so much uncertainty at the most important position in football, at quarterback, for Bama, for Tennessee, for Vanderbilt, Auburn. I mean, Auburn probably doesn't have uncertainty unless you're a
dude. Let's not.
Unless you care about that hitch. Unless you care about that throwing motion. Oh, the chicken wang.
It is one of the more bizarre.
It is brutal. It's brutal.
Did you guys notice that last year? Did you guys notice that last year at USF?
No, because he just runs through dudes, and that's all you can remember.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I'm gonna look up some kind of pic of that.
QB guru. He's been going to some kind of Jesse Palmer that has him doing this kind of thing with the new arm angles they're doing now or something.
Jesse Palmer ain't taking credit for this hitch, baby.
Oh, I mean, dude. The throw. This is the same. This is the same. I'm looking at some stuff from last year. This is terrible.
I don't remember it. So
I mean, first off, he starts extremely low, and then everything is just it's almost like he's trying to throw it through.
Who are we talking about for the audio listeners?
Good point. Thank you, Alex. That's my job as the host. I dropped the ball there. That's Byron Brown.
Who's the quarterback from USF that came to Auburn with new Auburn head coach Alex Golish? And so, Cody, what's going on with these guys right now?
Byron Brown, that's the quarterback that's getting all the conversation right now. For the YouTube watchers and listeners, you can see on the screen, this is the USF video or photos of his delivery. Starts low, releases high through it's almost like this squared, chopped off, right at a 90-degree angle. And it's very similar to what it is today at Auburn. Nobody really brought this thing up during the year last year because, as Maddie alluded to, it's because he was running the football. And they were just winning football games, and you would just tune in because you're like, oh my God, USF's about to beat so-and-so. You turn it on, this guy's just doing his heroics, and you don't sit there and watch the whole game. You're not breaking down his arm mechanics. And on top of that, they're not on ESPN every single week or on the main slate playing SEC games every single week. They had a hot stretch there where it was Miami and Florida and they had some tough games, but then everything disappeared and a lot of running in those games. And also couple that with the idea that we're in the dead center of March right now, where 2 days ago, I think the only thing that was really going viral on Twitter was Byron Brown's arm angle and Drew Aller throwing a football inaccurately or whatever you want to call it. There's very few things that are minor. It's why is this a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because Auburn fans need something to talk about, and that is the crown jewel of their recruiting class, Byron Brown, who's going to come in from day one and be the quarterback. Deuce Knight was a 5-star quarterback that was there last year competing with Jackson Arnold and Ashton Daniels. He jumped in the portal. He's gone. And this team didn't acquire as many players as Arkansas did in the portal, but they did acquire 39, which was third, which is one behind LSU, who acquired 40. I do have a small nugget on LSU. They'll start practice next week. We'll talk a little bit more about that. That party in Baton Rouge with that's a lot of interesting talent. But Auburn acquired 39 players, and interestingly enough, not all of them came from USF. You talk about some of the most highly ranked players that were acquired for Auburn, especially in the trenches, came from Miami, Ole Miss at tackle. Miami one was a tackle. Edge from Ole Miss, offensive tackle from Oregon State, defensive lineman from LSU. It wasn't entirely USF. There was a lot of USF there, and that was a big staple in kind of the conversations that Alex Golesh has had the last couple of weeks in press conferences and on Josh Pate's speaker series this last weekend, and just kind of evolving the offense. He said he stressed really evolving and playing through Byron Brown, utilizing the run game, the RPO elements, and building an elite offense around what you have. And that's something you definitely hear coaches talk about in different aspects is, playing with the talent you have or building an offense around the talent you have or not being able to play with the talent that you're surrounded with, which was one thing that specifically Hugh Freeze, the last coach at Auburn, would sometimes complain about or ankle at, which was like, I don't have the guys that I need to play this way. Instead, Alex Golesh is taking the approach of with what we have, we're gonna build the offense.
He'd be advised not to do anything the way that Hugh Freeze did it. As far as I'm not trying to be glib. Just his messaging about the expectations for the team that ended up being he would have gotten
that was the death sentence to it.
But it was I looked at you at SEC Media Days this year, Cody, after he came out and said, I forgot what it was. He set the bar so high, and I'm like, dude, did he really just put his onions on the table right now and said set the expectations here, and he's putting all his chips in the middle like this with Jackson Arnold? Where is Jackson Arnold now? Where did he transfer? Nevada?
Washington?
No, it was not it wasn't. He didn't go to a Big Ten school.
No,
it was I think he went to Nevada. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We couldn't believe it. Cody couldn't believe it either. That he said that he's good to go. He's he didn't say it's championship or bust. I'd have to go back and look, but it was something startling to hear. It at least feels like Alex Golesh is laying things out there and managing expectations in the correct fashion.
Well,
Jackson Arnold, for everyone out there anticipating with the UNLV, he's in Vegas right now playing
with Dan Mullen.
With Dan Mullen,
the resurrection.
Well, maybe this will be the time.
The resurrection. He did say we brought the good ones to the SC Media Days. He's like, there's a reason we brought Jackson Arnold and the belief in him. I don't remember the exact quote that he had, but I do remember, like you said, he set the bar extremely high. And what I really do remember, the last 2 years there, who was our quarterback in 24? I'm getting off track here now, but the quarterback competition. I remember. Just listening to the weekly SEC media call in 2024 about the quarterback competition at Auburn. And every week it felt like he was wishy-washy, and he would say things that were leading you to believe that he didn't really trust anybody in the quarterback room.
Are you asking who the USF or who the Auburn quarterback?
Auburn quarterback in 2024.
Wasn't that
Peyton Thorne and who was Thorne competing with?
I don't remember.
Let's look it up. Hank Brown, Holden Gurnier.
I think Hank Brown ended up getting some snaps, but it was Walker White, I think, was on that roster as well. But Peyton Thorne was the one where he was throwing him under the bus without throwing him under the bus every single week in that SEC media call. And it's just that's just what it is. And we talk about now, fast forward 2 years from that every single week. I can't wait to listen to Alex Golesh, just based on stuff we've heard this week in the press conference availabilities and how he talks about, it's not quite like last week when we were talking about Florida and John Summerall's very, I don't want to say high strung, but he's almost like he's on a lot of caffeine. Like he's like 400 milligrams deep every single day, 600. He's like Dan Campbell kind of in that aggression level, right? Alex Golsh, a little more relaxed, a little more straightforward. And Summerall is like, I'm worried about where this team's at. Like it's in a bad spot. I'm not going on vacation. And Alex Golsh, I think, very much understands the situation he's in. He also understands the history and talked about the history of the program and what Auburn has been in the past and what they can be and why he took the Power 5 job at Auburn. And obviously some of those coach speak things, but it's just interesting to hear him talk about the way he views this program and how it's even grown. Just like they've only had a day of practice so far this week. And I'll say this, the notes and availability doesn't seem to be the same for Auburn as it was for Arkansas on Alex's side. Like I know the Arkansas website isn't that great for accruing information, but it almost sounded like Alex was at Arkansas practice in Fayetteville this week.
Well, they put out full, they give these guys like full access, and people are putting out the raw footage of practice on X, man. If you're like, the one thing that I'm best at in life is just watching practice and figuring stuff out, man. You give me like 6 5-minute videos, dude. I can put your depth chart out for you for sure.
So the biggest returning players this year for Auburn are going to be in your backfield. Jeremiah Cobb, 5'11", 200-pound senior from Montgomery, Alabama. He's been in the program for 4 years now. He's going to join Byron. It's going to be a very good backfield. Like their win total 6.5 this year. I'm not sure like it should be 2 wins more than what Arkansas's is. Like I think the offenses Auburn's is going to be a little more potent, but I think they're going to be very similar. On the defensive side of the ball, Xavier Atkins is your go-to guy. He's your outside linebacker.
Ooh, he's good.
Yeah. And then the other one was Champ Anthony. There's an update on Champ Anthony, a safety, a senior safety who's had back-to-back season-ending left leg injuries, which both required surgery. And it sounds like he had a surgery in November, and he was out on the grass on Tuesday at the first practice with Alex Golsh, and they're kind of hoping he's going to start, ramping up a little bit more and more. He was jogging around, sprinting, stretching. He didn't participate, but he said, I've been through this before. Nothing matters except for the game. So I think this is going to be kind of a slow approach, but this is definitely a veteran leader in that back and that they're looking forward to having. But the majority of this defense is returning. Like there's 3 transfers that are expected to be entering the starting lineup. And the rest, most of the transfers come from the offensive side of the ball, which makes a lot of sense given Alex Golsh's background at USF and his high scoring teams at USF and the reason that they brought him to Auburn, which is to score points and win football games. So I think they're in a good spot. I'd like to get some more practice information from these guys. The receiving options right now, it looks like Keyshawn Singleton's the main guy. That's been the one that's kind of floated through all the Auburn ethos right now, but the connection with Byron Brown has been Keyshawn Singleton. Most notably, I think he came by way of USF as well. 6'3", 215-pound outside wide receiver.
Oh, well, so look, we are a brand new show. If you guys who are watching on YouTube, if you could please like the show, subscribe to the channel, we'd certainly appreciate that. And also leave a comment below. I'm going to ask for your comments if you're an Auburn fan right now. Then I'm going to ask these guys one question before we get out of here. If you're an Auburn fan, can you guys tell us just for our NFL draft stuff? We cover the NFL draft for Roster Watch. Maddie does it for Player Profiler. Been doing it for, professionally for the last 15, 20 years. But and I understand why, but do you guys think it's a little bit weird how far apart that Keldrick Falk and Keywan Crawford are as far as where they're going in mock drafts?
Is this more disdain for Keldrick Falk from you?
No, it's not disdain for Keldrick Falk because I understand why he's projected to go so far, and I understand how young he is, and I understand the tools that he has, and I understand that body that he has doesn't grow on trees. But I watch Crawford. I'm like, well, I mean, it's kind of like he's their Hellraiser, man, who they put in there in the most high leverage situations. So I'm curious if you're an Auburn fan, leave a comment. If you're a fan of another team, you want us to, if you want to say, Alex's hair is stupid, like just leave that comment. Whatever it is, it'll help the algorithm. And please like the show and subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep doing it if we get enough runway here with that kind of stuff. The other thing is for you guys, any quick comments about about the Mississippi quarterback being official? Or I'm sorry, the Missouri quarterback going official?
They listen. We've heard now for years that the Missouri Tigers have targeted big time transfer quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels being one of them. They put a lot of money, a lot of investment NIL wise into Simmons. Don't mess around. I think my response when Cody put it in our group chat was, "In other news, water is wet." Of course, this guy was going to be the starter. He's looked the part, so and so on. Early on in camp, they were the first team to start. We talked about them last week. It makes sense if this guy's going to be the king of campus, make him the king of campus from jump.
Yeah, to me, I just like Cody. Do you have thoughts about it, or just it was easy to see?
I mean, the only thing that really shocks me is like we've seen Nick Evers play football. Not that I thought Nick Evers was going to come here and take this job or something, but I think it does say like he's a redshirt senior, like he's out of eligibility after this. Nick Evers is, right? And then you had Matt Zollers, who was in this offense a year ago, who's a sophomore and clearly potentially the future of the team. You bring Simmons in, and it's kind of like all right, either do it or get off the pot. And he goes in and within like 2 weeks is named the starter. Like what that tells me is he's all business. And we know that guy can rip the football. I mean, he was at SEC Media Days. There's a reason that Lane Kiffin trusted him to be the starting quarterback of that roster in 2025. It just so happens to be the way things unraveled that Trinidad, was the hottest name in football, and you can't take that genie out of the bottle, whatever way you stretch it. So we know Simmons is SEC ready. I think in this offense, you look at the players that they have surrounded him, specifically that backfield. They bring in Caden Lee. Like it makes a lot of sense to me. Did I think that they would do it on March 19th and not July 29th? No, but I think that's a big positive for Austin Simmons.
What it says to me is just a super easy thing. Five words, and then we're out. Trust Lane Kiffin's QB evals.